Welcome to Season 2 of the Soul Aligned Leader, the masterclass series on thriving as an awakened soul aligned leader, alchemizing your purpose and embodying your gifts through your unique soul business. I am your host, Shirley Lohmaier, and today we have Leisa Peterson joining us. Leisa is a business growth strategist, money behavior specialist, and author of The Mindful Millionaire. She helps inspire women. She helps inspired business owners and women become game changers in their field and achieve million-dollar breakthroughs in their business and investments. Noted in Forbes as one of 10 women driving growth in wealth management and investing, Leisa has appeared on Gaia Media Network and in the Wall Street Journal, Fast Company, The Week, Huffington Post, and has been featured on many podcasts and radio shows. It is so fantastic to have you today, Leisa. I know that your message is just going to be so powerful for my audience, and I've really been looking forward to this interview. So thank you for joining me.
I'm so happy to be here, Shirley, and everyone. Thank you.
Awesome. Good. Well, obviously, it just has to be the starting point to just find a little bit about your own story and what is it that dropped you in this soul journey and into this purpose at this time.
Yeah, I wish I had like a really rainbow and unicorn story, but I will admit that it has been tragedy that brought me home to myself, as probably many people can relate to. It takes things kind of falling apart to know that we could choose something different for ourselves. And I have an MBA in finance. I worked in banking for more than 2 decades, and in the middle of my career, as it was starting to really take off, I had a huge job and I came home from work one day to find my family waiting for me. They're like, sit down on the couch. And they proceeded to explain to me that my father had been brutally murdered.
Sure.
And this is in the late 90s. And that was that pivotal kind of the first of several, unfortunately, events that would kind of continue to bring me back home. But at that time, at that moment, I was really fixated on my career, on making a lot of money. I had a 3-year-old daughter at the time, my husband, but I was more focused on the external rewards than I was about anything really internal. And that began a journey. Within a few years, I started teaching meditation after finding a teacher, and started traveling and going on long retreats around the world. And, that carried through until 2013, when I kind of I had my spiritual life, and I taught at a spiritual center, meditation and spiritual practices, just for volunteer, but I had done it for, every week for years and years. And then I had my career, my financial career, and they started to cross over a little bit, but it was still just like curiosity. There was I couldn't make money in this area of my life that I really wanted to. I felt like there was something here where I could write books maybe, or I could like blog, but I couldn't do any of that as a financial advisor. And I went to my doctor's office and unfortunately witnessed a man coming into the doctor's office who pulled out a large gun and went on a shooting rampage, which unfortunately happens in the United States far too frequently. And my life was forever changed. My doctor was killed, so several people were shot. The shooter ultimately killed himself. It was as horrible as you can possibly imagine, and then some. And in the moment when I was trying to get out of the building, knowing what was happening, I had this out of body experience because I had been meditating for so long, and I really understood this kind of shift in time space dimension. And it was like I froze and the whole world was like chaos all around me. And in that moment, I witnessed that I was not my fear. Like my fear was there and it was evidenced by all these people running around, but I wasn't that fear. And that if I were to leave alive, I knew that what had happened for me from this, daily mindfulness practice for, at that point, 14 years, and like going through not just my dad's death, but my mom died a few years later in a horrible situation. And being able to be centered through all of it, I knew that I had something to share and I needed to walk away from like my career. And I did that in 2014 and started my company. And
Wow.
yeah, just started learning about, how do you do this thing?
Wow. Sure, Lisa, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you've had that level of trauma and that you've had to process that. That is highly intense. And yeah, I marvel at your capacity to have been in that corporate hardcore financial world, which is really not easy, and then to have walked that personal journey, and to have found this integrated path. So it's really powerful and beautiful. Thank you. And I really resonate with this idea, because I think for so many of us, it's like we have maybe a divine feminine or masculine expression, these two worlds, and we have to integrate them. And actually, it's the journey is going through and integrating this path, and that's what you've done so well. So that's really beautiful. Thank you. And it really leads me to those who are tuning in are likely at some level in that kind of a space, right? They are probably feeling a call to step into their soul. They don't know how to action that. They don't know how they're going to make money with their healing gifts or things like that. And so there's obviously a story of being able to change your blueprint around scarcity and money to be able to become a mindful millionaire. I mean, mindful in the way you make money before you even become a millionaire. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think it would be really great if you could perhaps share some of that. So what's in that bridge to move to that place that your making of money and abundance comes from a place of soul and comes from a place of alignment?
Yeah. The big realization that I had early on, but I didn't have any way of quantifying it or speaking into it until I started my business, was that because I had grown up with not having enough and this perception that I needed to go out into the world and get more money, I had been plagued with these scarcity thoughts from my earliest memories. And even though my husband and I became, self-made millionaires by our mid 30s, which was just a few years after what happened with my dad, it didn't matter how much money I had. It didn't matter how much success I had. I could see how those scarcity thoughts, the minute I got the money, then I worried about losing it. And then we actually did lose it. Like, we got a call from a banker, and they said all of our money was gone because of an instrument that we had invested in had gone belly up at these auction rates, preferred securities. Like, I was witnessing my worst nightmares, even though I was a millionaire. And I was like, wait a minute, this is not what I was told. I thought I'm going to have money and everything's going to be awesome. I thought abundance naturally, the feelings of abundance would naturally come to me because I had money. And I found out that was bullshit. It didn't matter. If you're still pulling the scarcity thoughts with you, which most people are in one way or another, they don't go away no matter how much money you had. And that was what began my research. And that's what began me trying to get into, how can I help people? How can I help myself in this transition? And the good news is that I totally completed that mission to the point where I can say to everyone today, I have enough. I don't need any more.
Beautiful.
I am good. I'm complete. I have no need to prove anything to anyone. I don't need more money because I will feel safer. I'm in a place that all of those years of work have built up to this place of absolute freedom. And
Beautiful.
funny enough, the more I practiced the different approach I had about making money, and money will come oftentimes in the places that I'm least attached to, not the things that I'm most attached to, but the least attachment, the most service oriented. Like, all I care about is helping. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wow, not because that happens for everybody. And we're going to probably dive into that. Like, just because you care and just because you want to help everybody doesn't mean money comes. It's the freedom of like dropping away the attachment of the results that actually opens the floodgates to all kinds of things that people probably can't even imagine.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Thanks for sharing it like that. So for somebody who is walking that bridge, what are some of the deeper things they need to work through? Maybe it's belief systems, or what are some of the things they need to work through, and advice or tips or, you know, tools that you would give them to do that? Mm.
So there's many things, but what I have found is, and this came to me about 6 or 7 years ago, that I teach about money, and I teach about these blocks that we have, these beliefs that we have about ourselves and about our relationship with the world around us, can be easily encapsulated, summarized through the chakra system. And so when I wanted to write the Mindful Millionaire book, I wanted to show people that they could use a different understanding than most people have about chakras to understand the challenges that are going on in their relationship with money. So I could attribute, if you've got this problem, let's say debt. Debt is a problem. It keeps coming back. You don't know how to pay it off. You're not able to get rid of it. That is a deficiency. That is a scarcity mindset, but it's tied into a feeling based experience. We're not feeling our emotions. We're not feeling our desires. We're cut off from these deepest feeling and pleasure center oriented experiences in life. So something has gotten rigged inside of our psyche that living in deficiency is just the way it is always going to be. I'm just going to always be in debt. That is a sacral chakra issue. And so once I know that, then I can show people, you know, if I know that about someone or someone knows that about themselves, now there's a recipe that you can follow to unlock and release those patterns, those stories that you're holding on to consciously and unconsciously, so that they don't have a hold on you anymore. And as you do that, things start to change in the external world, and you're like, wow, this is kind of magical. And it is, but it also isn't. Like, there's a system and a formula that people can follow to get there.
Oh, that's beautiful. And they have to do the work, right? But I think what's amazing of what you're saying is that it's really an energetic shift. So as a healer, like, I would use the words working with your shadow, or maybe digging into your ancestry, or things like that. And I hear you saying the same thing. By using the chakra system, it's your energy body that you can find the linkages to, and work with those limitations, or whatever it is that might be holding you back, right?
Yeah, totally. And the idea that the wisdom is within you, you don't need anyone else to find it for you. Like, at the end of the day, it is your wisdom. Doesn't mean coaches and mentors don't help, but I think we can get really lost in the process if we don't see that all that someone's doing is unlocking what's already within me. I don't need anyone else for this. And that was really a central point of the Mindful Millionaire. Like, it's great to have coaches, but some people can't afford to do that.
Absolutely.
They can't afford to make those kinds of investments. I wanted to be within reach of anyone and everyone who is willing to do the work.
It's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Thank you. That's a real message of hope, and I know it's a message of hope for so many who will be tuning in, because it's just that reality. I think when your heart really opens and you step more into service, you almost want to walk away from matrix and, you know, corporate or whatever that is, and so it almost feels like a barren land if you don't know where to go. And I hear you saying, go within, you know, find those answers within.
And you can still have a lot of money and be very spiritual. In fact, if anything, having more money gives you more freedom to sit on that cushion and be in that place of, you know, what messages am I being given? Where am I to show up? Like, you have that freedom. You are wide open, clear, free space when you're not worrying about money anymore. So there's a lot of merit to having, you know, a healthy supply of money, not, you know, attached, you know, dependent on it, but like, so it's not just how much money you have. It's like, how do you engage with money? How do you relate with money? How do you think about frugality and being, making sure that the amount of money coming in and the amount going out are in alignment, so that it's healthy and sustaining, and reminds you of your wholeness, like that's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. I hear you on that. That's really important. So you've touched quite a few times on this issue of attachment. And I heard you say earlier, actually, sometimes money comes in the place of the least attachment. So I think it might be worth digging into that a little bit. Could you maybe reframe that or frame that in a different way for people?
Yeah. So attachment is the feeling that we get around a certain outcome appearing in a certain way. So like I'm attached to being a millionaire, let's say.
Mhm.
I'm attached to that idea. And when we tend to fixate on one thing, we leave out everything else, all the other possibilities. Number one,
Mhm.
we cut ourselves off from our feeling center because now all we're doing is the brain has said, I want
Yes.
this thing, I've set this goal for this thing. But we're not tuning into, well, at what cost to my
Mhm.
body? Or is this actually just my brain, my ego kind of trying to tell me what to do? Or is this my deepest inner knowing saying, yes, a million? I mean, I'm sure Mother Teresa, she probably didn't even know how much. I mean, she raised hundreds of millions of dollars, right? But she
Mhm.
wasn't like, I need the money. She's like, I see the mission. I see
Mhm.
who I am when I show up in service for the people who need me. That's why she's doing it. She's not attached. She's attached to the outcome of being in service. She can't
Absolutely.
save somebody's life. She doesn't know what's going to happen. People are going to die. They're going to die in her arms. She knows that she wants to be there in the present moment, in service, in love for the people. And as a result of that, people feel her energy field. They feel the impact that she wants to make, and they start to donate money for her
Mhm.
cause.
Mhm. Yeah.
There's no attachment in that.
Mm.
You see,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the only thing, I mean, I guess you could say she's attached to being in service. There's probably a lot worse things in the world
Mm.
than that,
Yeah.
like
And that's still a level of
but
alignment to a vision, right? So
love,
because the
yeah.
vision is not money. That's what you're saying. The vision is not money. The money is the byproduct of the vision, right?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. No, I totally get that. And you know what? I know that's music to a lot of people's ears because they are so attached to their service, and it's, they would walk away from everything for it. And that's actually almost the level of attachment you need to have to your vision. Uh, at the
Mhm.
same time as saying, if I come with all that I am and come in service, the money will come. Um, but I personally have a couple of clients who are very attached to being in service, and yet they have such a mindset block about actually charging for their service. So they may have,
Mhm.
studied for a long time, all of those things, and we kind of have to work a lot with that. So is there some tips or tricks or something that you would comment for somebody in that kind of a situation?
Yeah, so many different things. So the first thing that comes up is like alignment with value. So if you are very cognizant of the work that you're doing and the clients that you're serving and the impact that your work is helping them to bring into reality, then there is a financial impact that's taking place. The problem is that a lot of people don't spend the time to understand, well, okay, I'm serving people. I mean, and this is where you got to be really honest with yourself. I'm serving the poorest of poor. Well, they can't really afford much. They might always need scholarships for everything. And you understand that and you see how you set up your program. So there's always scholarships available for the people who would never be able to afford your program. Okay.
Mm.
But then you've got people who are in the middle of the road. You have very wealthy clients. The value of what you create will change depending on what that person is able to create in the world. There's actually a
Ah.
value equation going on.
Mm.
Like
Mm.
you make an impact in a millionaire's life, it could be affecting tens of thousands of people.
Mm.
And there's nothing wrong with you charging for the impact and the value that's being created in their lives. Now, where I have problems is when we don't do enough to know the knowledge of like, what is the value being created?
Yeah, I
And then we
get you.
go out there and we say, it's $10,000. And then it becomes a manipulation. If someone really can't create $10,000 of value from what you're selling them, I'm sorry, but that's going to bite you at some point or another. It
Mm,
will
mm,
catch up to you.
mm,
You've got to make sure that there is alignment, that someone can actually do the work. And maybe you start with baby steps before you tell them a big number. Like,
mm.
I hope that this is, I'm going, there's so many things because I work with people so much on this, but the point is that in order to be in integrity doesn't just mean charging lots of money to other people.
Mm.
It means making sure that there is a value alignment. What you're giving and what you're being paid for, that is in alignment.
Yeah. It's
And
equal
that
energy
means you might
exchange.
have, yeah,
Mm,
different prices for
mm,
different
mm,
situations.
mm.
You may make exceptions. You may tell your clients that you work that way, and you own
Absolutely.
that,
Yeah.
that I
You're
pay
authentic
attention to
about
the
it.
value created.
Mm,
Yeah, why
mm,
not?
mm,
And will you make more than everybody else out there? Probably not. But I'll tell you, you're going to sleep better at night, and you're going to have a
mm,
business that goes the long distance. People will
mm,
continue to refer you because they feel how much you care about how you price.
mm.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I think the nugget that's coming through for me there, for somebody who's maybe struggling to price, is that it's not just about my time versus your time and me giving value to you. It's about what value am I creating for you sustainably. So it's like a double chain. It's looking even further into that future and into that vision. And that's where the energy comes back. And it's fair to ask for that energy exchange when you're in this chain of impact and value, right?
Yeah. And many
Mm.
times we don't know. When we're not sure, or the energy is like, gosh, I really don't know what to charge this person. You always have the ability to say, what's your budget? Are
Yeah.
you willing
What
to
can you
invest
afford?
in this? What would this mean to you?
Mm.
What are the changes going to be? And what are the value of those changes? Like, this is where we get curious. And I know it's not easy to kind of get the forward momentum with this, but if you get curious and you get really authentic and you feel comfortable with your relationship with money, hence why I wrote the book and why I talk about this so much, you're going to find yourself in the flow of life in a way that you may never have even believed possible.
Mm. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful. So actually what I hear you saying is that money flows with that flow of life. And it's about tapping into that flow of chi, that flow of source energy, that money is a neutral energy that flows with that energy, that essence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, but you've got to feel that before you're going to actually experience it.
Manifest it. Yeah. Yeah. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to have taken away whatever limiting beliefs or whatever blocks you've put in that flow, and whatever stones you've got in that river that's stopping it from flowing is your responsibility to look at and to deal with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I see that. It's beautiful. Wow, thank you. I feel that's sure. What I love is the way you're able to drill down and then come back up to the big vision and drill down into what's in there. And I think that's really the secret, is we have to be prepared to drill down to the dirty nitty gritty of how we actually feel about money and what we've aligned it to, and how it makes us act in our relationships, or whatever it is that's really driving us behind all of that, right?
Yeah. And not everybody struggles in that relationship. We come into this life and it just comes and it goes and there's no stress. And I do meet people like that. It's just more exceptional. Many of us haven't had that experience. And so we've got
Mm.
to relearn and create new stories for like our life and where we're headed. And that's going to come from us. You know, nobody else
Yeah.
can write that story but us.
Absolutely. We take responsibility for that, for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Yay. Thank you. That's really awesome. Is there anything else you'd like to share? Anything else that's coming through?
Yeah, the just this theme that you brought up and that is kind of under the current of everything that we're talking about, um, that this wisdom inside of you has the ability to cause you to feel abundant, alive, vibrant, joyful in any moment. And I think that meditation and mindfulness practice, let's put it this way, no matter if you've been meditating like, I have every day, like for 23 years, or you're just starting out, it's not easy. It has to be reinvented on a regular basis. And for example, let's say you're a 15-minute a day meditator and you use a Calm app or you use an app. The only way that you end up really tuning in to like that deep inner wisdom is like an hour and a half with no guidance. Like there's always an opportunity to up your game when it comes to touching in to this blissful state inside. And so I say that because a very experienced meditator might need to hear that today. I need to hear that on a regular basis. Like, just because you're good at doing that one thing doesn't mean you're actually reaching the levels that are available to you, the bliss that you can bring into everything in the world,
for sure.
with you.
Yeah.
So it's there. Return home.
Beautiful. Yeah, you can expand that capacity, and that's the call of stepping further into your potential and really, really honing that. Yeah, that's beautiful. Wow, thank you. I feel so delighted with our discussion today. My heart is just singing with everything that you've brought forward and that wisdom. Thank you. Yeah, and so I see that you've given us a really lovely free gift that you're sharing with the visitors. I actually, or those who are tuning in, I actually looked at it yesterday and it looks really lovely. A bundle of abundance gifts. It includes meditations and the first chapter of your book and a couple of other things.
Yeah, chakra meditation that will help you tune into the scarcity patterns in each of the chakras and kind of guide through it and start to learn more about what we've talked about today.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Awesome. So I just want to say thank you to you, and especially to those who are tuning in today. And for those who have been watching, I'm inviting you to do 3 things now. The first is to continue tuning into our summit. It's a 10-day period, and I know that if you really tune in and align yourself, you will absolutely shift in a fundamental way. Secondly, download Lisa's incredible gift. The link will be below this video. It'll really help you just to shift your money relationship right now today. And lastly, if you are ready to step into your soul business journey, join me for my masterclass, which is taking place at the end of this series. I will be teaching you 4 steps to creating your soul-aligned business and monetizing your soul gifts so that you can make an impact in the new earth. It's truly time for us to rise and co-create the new earth together. Thank you, Lisa, for everything, and thank you, everyone, for tuning in today.